Hi guys, how are you today? I hope you are all fine. If you are seeing my face for the first time, my name is Eva Mtali, and for my returning viewers, thank you so much for always tuning in. It is always a pleasure to have you guys on the channel. So please, as you get onto the video, please do give the video a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms to know that there's a lot of good stuff happening here on the channel. And also, I know you like this video, you're gonna like it. We only spit gems after gems after gems. And then please do let me know in the comment section below what country you are watching me from and what time it is. Do say hello in the comment section below. So guys, as you have seen from my background, if you've been watching me long enough, you know I am in a different place now. And if you haven't yet watched the travel vlogs, you need to go and watch the travel vlogs that I am spitting left, right, center every day. So I just got to the US here with my son, and that's why I want to share this video with somebody who is probably planning to visit or might be visiting. I'm going to be talking about the questions we were asked at border control by the immigration officers of the US. You know, guys, this is very, very important because, as I always say, that you have a visa to any country does not guarantee you entry. You still have to come and prove that it was worth giving you a visa. So that's why I'm sharing this information, not for any other purpose, but just to help somebody. These questions, even though they were asked of us at the US border control, they're pretty much the same question you should expect at any border control anywhere in the world, especially if you are visiting as a guest or if you are traveling on a visa. So the standard question you should always expect the moment you get to the immigration officer, you go to the border control officer, they're going to ask for your passport. So this is very important, especially if you are traveling maybe to that country for the first time. Make sure that all your supporting documents that you submitted when you are seeking that visa, you have them in printed copy, because guys, shit happens, and you do not want a situation whereby you are at the immigration desk and your phone is not working, or your battery died, or the PDF just can't open. So I always encourage guys, please, before you leave your home country, make sure that you have a printout of your return ticket. Make sure you have a printout of your accommodation. Make sure you have a printout of, let's say, your bank statement, or just things to prove that you have ties to your home country, so that in case they ask you why you're visiting or whatever, then you have all the supporting documents with you. If you have, maybe you're working and you're on leave, make sure you have a printed copy of your leave document, letter from your employer showing that indeed you are their employee and that you are going to be on leave. Usually they will not ask for this information, but trust me, how the universe works, when you don't have that document, that's the day they're going to ask for it. So just make sure that you have those documents. So of course, you want to make sure that by the time you are queuing at the immigration, you have all these documents like ready and just waiting to hand them over should they be asked. So usually the first thing they're gonna be asked is for your passport. So as soon as you get to the immigration counter, hand over your passport. And guys, so for me, I was traveling with my son. He turns 16 in a couple days, so he is underage as at the time we entered US soils, but by the time we leave, he's going to live as an adult. So those who watched my live yesterday here in the US, when you get to 16, you're technically an adult. You can work, you can drive, you can join the American Army, you can do a lot you just can't drink, but pretty much you can do everything else. So by the time we were arriving on US soils, he was still a child. So for that matter, he was under my care. So we came in together and, as usual, went to the counter together. So even if whoever you are traveling with is not a child, generally it's okay. You can go to the counter together If let's say your spouse, your friend, whoever you are traveling with, it's okay, you can go to the counter together. So obviously I went together with my son to the counter, and standard, I didn't even wait to be asked, because I know usually they're going to ask for the passport. So as soon as I got to the counter, I handed over both of our passports. And to make the officers work easy, I just slipped in our passports together where the visas were. And that's what I always tell people, just make their work easier, don't piss them off. So you can use your boarding card such that where your visa is, just put the boarding card in there, so that when the visa officer opens the page, the first thing they want to do is to remove that boarding card, and they're going to see your visa is there, and then they'll already be in a good mood before you start anything else. So once we handed in our visa, the standard question, this is a question you'll be asked at any point of entry, whether it is Canada, Australia, US, any European country, like pretty much even Kenya. If you come in as a foreigner, the first question they're going to ask you, what brings you to America? And that's a question that we were asked. So guys, here's the thing. And this question is very important, even for those who are looking to go to the embassy. If you are with a minor, and let's say the minor is going to attend an event, or is the main reason for your travel. Like in my case, my son is the main reason for this travel. If it wasn't for his event, I wouldn't be here. So even when you go to the embassy, if you are seeking a visa for a minor, and the minor is the main reason why you're seeking this visa, please guys, it is very, very natural to want to babysit your child. It is very, very natural to want to be the one to run and answer questions. You know, then you're so used to bossing your child around. Guys, try to refrain from that. And I don't know if I mentioned this on the channel, but for example, when I took my son to the American embassy to get his visa, because I already had mine, he didn't have his, it was for his event. So what we did, remember, you have to, if you are applying for a US visa for a minor child, both parents whose names are on the birth certificate must appear at the US embassy and give consent to their child. They don't accept letters. You have to physically go there and say, I'm okay to send my child to America. So both of us went. So what we did, because I knew this was his trip, and guys, you better listen carefully. This was his trip. So what we did, you know, when you go to the US embassy, I don't know about other countries, but I know the one in Nairobi, when you enter, you'd be queuing like 5 people, and then there'll be one person at the counter, and you can literally, like, it's so close, it's like here, and where that cooker is, you can literally hear every question the person is being asked. So for us, what we did, so Kerry, okay, my son was ahead of us, and then was standing behind him. So the moment they called us to go to the counter, we did not rush to the counter, because it's not our interview, it's his interview. So the moment they called, like, next, so because it was 2 of us behind him and then him in front of us, I was just like, okay, so the one who went to the counter, and then we stood at a distance behind him, because it is his interview. And the tendency, especially for us, at least I know for Kenyan parents and African parents generally, you want to be the one who is running to the counter, because you think you want to save your child from the visa officer. Guys, trust me, let your child go to the counter, especially if it is their trip. The fact that your child goes to the counter already gives a positive impression of him or her. It shows that your child has confidence, because the fact that your child can actually step forward to the visa officer and stand there without you already shows that, even shows the visa officer, we could trust this child with a visa, and they're going to go to the US and come back without needing to be needy around their parent. And then the other thing that happened is that the fact that the child already goes in front there, it means all the questions the visa officer is going to ask, he or she is going to ask the child. And obviously, at this point, it already just changes the whole ball game, and the power dynamics immediately change. Remember, when I stand in front there, the power dynamics are different. Even the way the visa officer looks at me is different. He's looking at somebody who's supposed to have money, somebody who's supposed to have a bank statement, somebody who's supposed to have some piece of land, somebody who's supposed to be all these kind of things. But when the child stands there, the dynamics change. This is a child, it's a minor, they want to go. So all the questions the child is going to be asked are things that are child friendly. For example, they're not going to ask the child, also, how are you paying for your trip, and all those types of questions. So the main focus of the interview, therefore, is going to be, is this child actually going for the event they claim to be going for? Has this child done enough research on their event? So, for example, when my son was coming for his event, thank God he had done all the homework. And they asked him so many questions like, okay, so how are you going to arrive Yale University? He said, I'm going to take the direct KQ flight from Nairobi to New York, and then I'm going to take the bus from New York to Yale University, and all these kind of things. And so, what is your event all about? And they said, oh, it's about ABC and all that. And like, they talked and they reached a point whereby like, I think the visa officer like kind of forgot this was an interview, and they actually started chatting for like another 3 to 5 minutes until I was like, whose child is this? So just the fact that we made the interview about our son and less about us changed the whole dynamic. And guys, you will not believe this, the entire interview, we never spoke a word. They never asked us any questions. So they interviewed him, they chatted, had their chat. When they were done, that's when the officer was like, she was a lady, very lovely lady. Oh, and who are those standing behind you? And he said, those are my parents. And they're like, oh, okay. So they asked for his birth certificate. Remember, we had handed over to him all his documents. So he took his document and his birth certificate, he handed over to the visa officer. And then the visa officer asked us for our IDs, and all she did was just to confirm that indeed. So in the Kenyan birth certificate, there's a section for mother and father, and all she had to do was just confirm that indeed whoever was on the birth certificate was as was standing behind my son, and the ID documents we gave were actually correct. And that was the entire interview. They never asked him, how much money do you have in your bank account? Do you have... They didn't ask. The whole interview was centered around him and what he knew about his event. And guys, what I'm trying to say is, let us stop this mentality of always wanting to save our children. Let us teach the children independence and confidence. And remember, the other day I was talking and I said, some of us, you actually think you're shy. You're not shy. It's just you have zero self-esteem. And it's because of the childhood traumas we've gone through. We've never been allowed to make decisions on our own. We've never been allowed to like just go out there and present ourselves. Our parents are always saving us. When it's time to go to school, our parents are taking us to school, registering for us. When back here in America, 16-year-olds can join the army. So guys, next time you look at your child and you think you're a child, remember their 16-year-old counterpart can actually join the army here in the US if they wanted. They're an adult, they start working officially and taking care of themselves. So now back to I know that was long-winded, but it was important to set that background. Now back to the US. So we arrived at Boston Logan International Airport, and of course they asked the first question, what brings you here? And I said, I am here for my son is here for an event, and I am here to support him. And as soon as I did that, I stepped back and I let him how we just use our eyes and the children know what you're talking about. So that's exactly what I did. I said, my son is here for an event and I'm here to support him. And then I kept quiet and I stepped back and I let him walk in. And then, so the next question they asked us is, how long are you here for? So when they ask you, how long are you here for? This one is a very interesting question. So personally, what I always do, I don't calculate and say, okay, I'm here for 2 weeks, I'm here for 3 weeks. I'll teach you a better way to answer that question. How long are you here for? Just say, I leave on the 17th of December. So that would be, look like you're trying to calculate how many weeks or days those are. And if you're fortunate, they will wait for you to calculate the number of days. If you're not fortunate, the moment you say, okay, I'm leaving on the 17th of December, that should be around how many days? Let me see. They'll be like, okay, they'll ask you the next question. And then the next question then they asked us is, so I said for his event, and then they asked, he asked what event So as usual, remember I've said it's his event, so I'm not gonna try to save him. So I again remember at this point he's literally like it's his interview. I've handed over the interview to him. So he said, this is the event, blah blah blah. He said ABCD event, and then they asked him, and tell me about it. Again, guys, you understand where I was saying let your child know what that event is all about right from the visa interview. So make sure your child has read. If let's say they're going to be in Disneyland, let your child know what is in Disneyland. If they're going to Universal Studios, let them know what is Universal Studios. If you yourself are coming as a tourist to the US, ask yourself, okay, I'm going to be in Boston as a tourist. A tourist is supposed to know where the museum is, where the theme park is, where this, that. Basically, what I'm trying to say, do research about whatever place you're going. And if you're going with kids, with minors, unless, of course, I mean, kids are so intelligent, you'd be surprised. You might think that your children are so young, but when you are with them and they already know that you're going on this trip, that time you give them your phone, instead of them playing games or going on TikTok, give them assignment. Tell them, can you go through, use Google and find out 5 places that you'd like to visit while we are in the US, or maybe 3 places you'd like for us to visit when we are in Canada, or 5 places you'd like us to visit when you're in Paris. Like, give them assignments and let them actually do it so that they know what they're talking about. So once my son said what all his event was all about, blah, 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 and then now they asked the next question, like, how long are you here for? And I said that, and then they asked, okay, so then they asked, so are you gonna be visiting other places other than Boston? And then I said no, it wasn't other than Boston, other than New Haven, because we're coming from Boston to New Haven. So they're like, he was like, are you gonna be visiting other places apart from New Haven? So I said, are we gonna be here for pretty good amount of time, but since we'll be leaving from New York, we'll go to New York maybe 3 to 4 days earlier and just tour the place. And then next question, guys, listen very carefully. So the next question was, are you going to be visiting any of your friends, relatives? Guys, remember what I told you. Anytime you're interacting with a visa officer, it doesn't matter, or not visa officer, immigration officer, or a visa officer, or a border control officer, it doesn't matter which question they ask you. They are all leading to one question. Are you, remember when according to the US government, you are considered, the fact that you've applied for a visa, whether you get it or not, you are considered a potential immigrant. And the onus is on you to prove otherwise. So remember, every question you're being asked, if you are on a non-immigrant visa, the question actually is, this Eva here, she's potentially an illegal immigrant. Can you prove me otherwise? Prove me wrong. You are a potential illegal immigrant, Eva. I want you to prove me otherwise. That's the bottom line. Are you gonna be in the US for exactly 1 month as you claim? Do you have things back in your home country that will make you staying in the US so appealing that you want to go back home? That's basically what they're asking. So the fact that they were asking me, are you going to be visiting any of your friends or your relatives? You know, they're trying to see if, So for me, I just said no. Because again, when it comes to border control issues, US visa issues, the point is the less you speak, the better for you. Because question number 1 determines what question number 2 is. And question number 2 will be derived from question number 1. So you have to be really smart. Be truthful, but short and precise. Don't answer questions that nobody has asked you. So when they asked me, are you going to be visiting any of your friends or relatives when you're around here? I was just like, no. You know, when I say no, that's the end of the story. And then, but if I say yes, then the next question is, okay, who are these friends? Who are these relatives? How are they here? When? You know, so I just say no. And then At the point when I was now certain that the interview questions were over and it was time for us to be told the much awaited sentence, welcome to America, this immigration officer threw a spanner in the works and he asks me. So he turns over to me. Remember, at this point now, both my son and I were at the counter. So he turns to me and asks me, are you carrying any food with you? Guys, you know, usually what happens when you come to the US, and I think all countries, even in Kenya, you will only see your baggage in the event that you've been admitted into the country, because you first go through immigration. That's when you go and pick your baggage. So in all my 20 plus years of travel, an immigration officer has never asked me if I'm carrying food. But on this fateful day, he actually asked me, are you carrying any food? So obviously I was thrown off guard. And it is also very possible in your situation that the visa officer asks you an outlier question. An outlier, I mean, it is not a frequently asked question. It is very, very rare for a visa officer to ask you, not visa, what am I calling the visa officer? Immigration border control officer, to ask you about food. So, and not about food, any other topic that you did not expect. So this is how you handle such a situation. When you're asked a question that you were not expecting, it's not a frequently asked question, and you're thrown off guard, do not run to answer questions. So first of all, you have to calm down. Remember, you're still wearing your poker face, your confidence is on top, you got this, yeah? So the first thing you want to do is make sure you are calm and don't run to answer questions. You have to think, you know? So the first thing that I did, I said, excuse me, pardon, you know? So the fact that I said pardon, even though I had had the question, it gave me time to think through. Why would a visa officer ask me if I'm carrying food? And then once I said, okay, pardon, sorry, you know, it gives me time to actually think and strategize. Remember, all questions asked at border control are all pointing to the one question. You could be a potential illegal immigrant. Prove me wrong, prove me otherwise. So remember, by the time I'm asking, sorry, pardon me, it gave the visa, so it gives me time to think. And then the visa officer repeated the question, are you carrying any food? So one of the reasons why I said pardon me was in case the visa officer can choose to let the question slide, or they can choose to ask you because they want an answer. So the fact that the visa officer repeated the question, it means that he wanted the answer. So initially when I asked pardon me, I was asking in the hope that the question would be let to slide. So by the time I'm asking, I didn't have enough time to think of an answer. So he asked me the question again. And because I still needed more time, I asked the visa officer another question. So I asked him, food? So I was like, what? Food? Then he says, yes. Then I asked him, you mean food like here or in the checked bag? And then before I could answer, because I'm still thinking in my head, my son is like, oh, I'm carrying water. So of course, you know, that one, like I didn't even expect him to come up. So he's like, I'm carrying water from the plane. And then, so of course we all laughed because we're like, okay. And then at that point I had carried, so guys, you're probably gonna see this video. So I responded in the affirmative, and I said I had carried some wimbi flour from Kenya. And then I didn't know what wimbi was in English, so I said I carried this brown flour, I don't know what you call it in English, and then I was like, okay. And then when I thought it was finished, so that's basically how you strategize if you asked a question that you hadn't expected, an outlier question. And then he went back to my son and asked him, what did they ask him again about his event? There's something they asked him, I remember, then I've just forgotten, about his event. Oh, guys, I've forgotten, but there's something after that. question about food, they went back to him and asked him another question. He went back and asked him another question. And then he said, I wish you best of luck with your event. So guys, key point from the whole of this video is that whatever questions you're gonna be asked, whether it is at the visa interview or it is at border control, they're all pointing to one thing. You could be a potential immigrant and the onus is on you to prove otherwise. Do you have enough exciting stuff going on in your home country that you will be inspired to want to go back to once your legal stay in America is finished, or in Canada, or in Europe, Australia, Ireland, whatever wherever country's visa that you are looking for? And then question number 2, you have to research, be prepared. It doesn't matter whether it's a minor, whether you are an adult. Adults, please let your children be. Stop babysitting your children. Let your children do the research, let them have information, because their counterparts in these other countries are already being considered adults. And remember, the visa officer has this cultural background in mind. So when you try to babysit your child, including at the embassy, questions are asked, you're the one who's rushing to answer them. You're losing out on power dynamics. Remember, just the fact that a child is standing there at the desk changes the entire dynamic. And you want to take advantage. I always say, choose the path of least resistance. I mean, why do you want to be dealing with answering questions if your child can answer them on your behalf? For me, I was like, I hate those interviews. If my son has a mouth, he may as well speak for himself. And fortunately for him, I already told him when we were at home, this is your interview. And even days before, I told him, this is your interview. You are the one who's traveling. You're going to have to own it. Do your research, know everything that is important. And also, even when you're filling the DS-160, it's a very, very direct form. Involve your child. Let your child know what you're putting into that document. Let them know if, let's say, you're going to be staying in a hotel. Let them know what hotel that is. How are you going to get from the airport to the hotel? How long are you guys going to be there? Some of you go for trips, you don't even tell you want to go with your kids. You don't even tell them how long you're going to be. Some kids, like I met a child, there's a time I was in Diani, and there was this child, I think he was 7 or 8 years old. They had been there for like 2 days, and no, it wasn't Diani, it was in Pride in Mombasa. This child had been at Pride Inn for I think 3 or 4 days. He didn't even know the name of the hotel they were in. So let us normalize giving our children autonomy, so that when they are faced with such circumstances, they already have the confidence, and also it helps you to take advantage of the power dynamics. So guys, and that's how we made it to America. That's how we were told, welcome, wish you all the best. And he told my son, all the best with your event, and I wish you good luck. So I'm gonna quickly read your questions, and then I will call it a night. So thank you all those who have joined the live stream and those who will be watching this video afterwards. I appreciate all of you. If you haven't watched the rest of the videos in this series, please go and watch them. So Masereka is saying welcome. Sarah, Hapa Kenya, thank you. Molobi is watching from South Africa. We have Wanjiro is saying, nice to see you, look lovely. Oh, thank you so much, Wanjiko, for your kind words. I love mustard. Mustard is my favorite color. If you are looking to bless me for Christmas, now you know. Actually, I love this combination of blue and mustard. Those are my favorite colors. And then Zippy Mwangi is watching from Kenya. Hi, Zippy. Wanjiko is watching from Qatar. Ngozi is watching from Nigeria. It is 15:48 p.m. It's actually, I think it's 10 a.m. now. Let me see. Here. Oh, it's actually 11:15. I thought it was still early. It's 11:15 a.m. Masereka is looking for the visa. Best of luck. We have so many videos here on the channel about applying for a US visa and all these other visas. And also we have sample interview questions you're likely to be asked. whether it is a C1D visa, whether it was tourist visa, B1, B2, we have all of it here on the channel. Please check under the US playlist. Baracom Services is saying, good morning, Eva. Good to see you. Great to see you too. Thank you so much. Udomi is saying you look great. Oh, wow. Thank you. Banzi is saying very true. Even me, they asked me. Oh, yes. Banzi wants to talk to me. Banzi, if you want to talk to me free of charge, talk to me here on the comment section. Just chat here. But if you want to come to my inbox, you're going to have to pay. So my email address is evamtali@gmail.com. If you check the description box at the bottom of this video, you will find it there, evamtali@gmail.com. But just know you're going to have to pay. But if you ask your question here, it's free of charge. Sipiwe is watching from Swaziland. Hi. Betty sending greetings from Nakuru. One day my dream will come true. Amen. From your mouth straight into God's ears. Fred Zumo is watching from Ghana. Thank you so much. Angela is watching from Kenya, Mombasa. Hi. Habari ya Pwani. Chiri is saying, hey, good to see you. You're glowing. Esh, you guys. Maybe I need to stay here. Wait. I'm glowing. Okay, don't make me start boasting. Thank you. Who else thinks I'm glowing? Let me know in the comment section below. James is watching from where? I don't know. He didn't say. Please, I need your support concerning the Australia Still Worker Visa support. So, James, I don't know what support you need, but you can ask your question here. For the Australia visa, we have many videos here on the channel. I have even written a full article on evamtali.com. Please go and read it up, watch the video, and yeah. Very in-depth guides. Angela is saying it is 6:15 p.m. in Kenya. Oh, wow. Jeff is watching from Netherlands. Hi, Udom is saying, wow, Eva, I have learned a lot from you. Well done and welcome to the US. Thank you so much. So guys, looks like I have read all your questions. I don't want to keep this video longer than it should be. So thank you so much for tuning in. 21 of you watching, only 13 likes. Guys, it's free to like the video and it helps with the algorithm. So we said, if you don't like the video, at least like the content creator. If you don't like the content creator, at least like her hair. I always try to make sure my hair good enough so that if you don't like me, you have something to like. And so at least like my hair if you don't like me. Anyway, guys, have yourselves a beautiful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever in the world you are watching me from. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next one. Bye. Or Sifiwe is saying you have an appointment, B1 visa. Sifiwe, we have an entire playlist. Please just go under playlists on my channel. We have questions plus answers. Just go through them one by one. We have questions for students. If you're a student, there's a separate video. If you're going with a minor, there's a whole video. In fact, for students, I think I have 4 videos. It's an entire series of 4 or 5 videos. For a student, for a B1, B2 visitor visa, I think we have 2 or 3 videos, questions and answers. If you are traveling with a minor, we have 2 videos. Please check. Yeah, somebody's asking how to get a conference to attend in the US. A quick Google search should help you. And there are so many events happening in the US. I know, for example, my church, next year they have what they call the Pathfinder Camporee. So we have a lot of people, the SDA church, a lot of people who are applying for visas. Unfortunately, I'm told a lot of them are getting denied. Guys, I have a video that shows you how to answer questions and answers, especially if you are looking to travel to the US as a Pathfinder for the Pathfinder Camporee. Please check that video. It is under the US playlist, the most frequently asked B1, B2 questions. You could also just do a quick Google search. There are so many conferences. Though now with the end of year, I'm sure the most conferences you'll find will probably be in January moving forward, which is still fine. And guys, I encourage you, please watch those videos. If you are looking to apply for a visa, please watch those questions and answers on this playlist, because guys, in Kenya, to apply for a US visa is 35,000 Kenya shillings. It used to be 25,000. They increased it almost 75%. So guys, you don't want to go to the embassy and be denied a visa for reasons that are within your control. So I wish you all the best. Thank you so much. I will see you on the next one. Bye.